The first major patch for Assassin's Creed Shadows is here to improve and fine-tune the game with a decent list of patch notes. Now I'll address the key highlights. I tested how these changes might affect your gameplay or perhaps be reasons to give the game another go if these issues make you set the game aside. So let's get into it, starting with the new horse auto-follow feature. It lets your horse automatically follow the road to the last marked location by turning on the Pathfinder feature and then press and hold E on PC. I know some of you won't like having to turn on Pathfinder, so that's something to consider, but being able to arrive at a location on autopilot is nice to have, especially over longer distances. Now when you place multiple markers, then autofollow will simply go to the one you placed last. You can also go to a contract location, but this might require some extra tweaking by Ubisoft, seeing that this only works if you have no other waypoints selected. Now something worth noting is that you can't gallop with autofollow turned on, so it will take you a bit longer than manual travel, but personally I think having this feature in its current state is already better than not having it at all. Also, horse speed in towns has been improved, which is clearly noticeable. Now you can really make good progress by toggling sprint, but if you really enjoy the vibe of passing through town at a leisurely pace to take in the scenery, you still can. The individual mastery nodes can now also be reset in addition to resetting the entire mastery path at once to allow players to test out their builds, which is always nice. I think it's another good example of giving you options and to allow you to have fun with the game trying different approaches. But maybe the best addition of the game improvements has to be the ability to now sell and dismantle multiple items at once. I was really puzzled at launch to find out you couldn't do this from the start just by how tedious doing it one by one is, and given how much loot you will collect after a few hours. So it seemed such an obvious issue to avoid, but luckily we don't have to worry about that any longer. And before we continue, if you're enjoying the video so far, give it a like, which will help the video connect with like-minded gamers like yourself, and when you're done watching, feel free to drop a comment to share your thoughts on the patch and the game itself. That being said, there are also quite a few improvements for those who play on PlayStation, Xbox or Steam Deck, such as a shortcut to access the objectives. I was again surprised to see this somehow wasn't possible at launch, same as it was for PC. Even more so because the notes state the board is central to your journey, so for a key feature not to be directly accessible struck me as odd, but other than that there have been improvements for performance mode in the hideout, having uncapped performance to above 30 FPS and more, but since I don't own a PlayStation I can't make any comments based on actual testing, so I'll have to let that one go for now. Other key improvements on the list are improved balancing of boss fights. Now I haven't noticed any major changes when I went looking for some late last night to test this, but let me know in a comment if you guys somehow noticed any changes here. And the next fix is that of the Toolmaster gear perk that lets you throw a free kunai at the closest enemy after an assassination. I covered this in my beginner's guide, and this perk suffered from some glitches where it wouldn't always trigger, but now that has been fixed. So that's great because it's a real fun perk to use. A lot of quests have also been fixed, but to avoid any spoilers I won't cover these in the video. Some stealth related issues have been improved. I think we've all seen this bug where you would perform an assassination and the NPC would just pop straight back up. That's been fixed, and also the responses from NPCs to you destroying an alarm bell inside the castles. Now before the patch they didn't always respond that well to the sound of the bell hitting the ground, so after the patch enemies are more likely to investigate what happened. Of course, having enemies respond to your actions is essential in letting the player steer them in such a way so they can take them down how they see fit. So in relation to this, there's also a list of changes to combat, AI and balancing that's worth looking at to see if your favorite ability or part of your desired build has been improved. I won't go over the entire list one by one, but one honorable mention is that NPCs and enemies now react correctly to shinobi bells, basically giving now away an improved toolkit to work with. One particular bug that has been fixed is where an autosave would be performed if players would have been dead or dying. Now luckily I've never encountered this myself, but for those of you who have and got stuck somewhere because of it, this is of course a top of the list fix, especially if it made you put the game on hold. Just a quick shout out to the community because we hit a milestone. We recently passed 2,000 subscribers, which really motivates me to make more videos for you guys that I hope will give you some helpful information when playing any of these games. AC Shadows, I think this is a solid patch based on player feedback when it comes to features like dismantling multiple items and the mount changes. But what do you think about the game so far? Let me know in the comments. Of course, it would be great if Ubisoft can keep the improvements going at this rate, because then by the time the first DLC, Claws of Awaji, drops, all focus can be on the content instead of dealing with bugs on the sideline. For now, thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next video here on the channel.